Hello YouTube, welcome on this fine day, and today we are going to take a look at my top 10 cards to craft from Zendikar Rising for Historic Brawl. This list will only contain rare and mythic cards because I think commons and uncommons are very easy to craft. Keep in mind that these are my preferences usually, but I also try to just have the strongest, most universal, or just in general best cards in there. Yeah, let's jump right into it. First and foremost, at number 10, this is a bit of an experimental one, as usual from the number 10, and it is Linvala, Shield of Seagate. This card is interesting to me because at first it seems like meh, but for me the party ability is practically irrelevant, right? But the really interesting part is in any kind of Azorius plus aggro deck, or Ineos Flyers, you can tap out and still have meaningful protection for your creatures, right? Because having the potential to get everything hexproof or indestructible is really valuable. Like, you tap out against a ramp deck and they try to come back with mass manipulation, nope, hexproof. They try to board wipe you, nope, indestructible. So this is a really versatile card, and the stats aren't that bad. It's 3/3 flyer for 3. Yeah, it's serviceable. At number 9 we have Moraus, Fury of Akoum. This card is absolutely nutty when it goes off. It is absolutely insane. The reason why I have it at number 9 is because it's expensive. But I can see this card being game winning on its own. But one thing to note with this card is you want to play the lands in your second main phase, because you don't untap your creatures at the beginning of your normal combat step. So what happens if you play your lands in main phase 1? You get your additional combat step first, untap your already untapped creatures, and then you attack. Your creatures are tapped, and then you go to your regular combat step, which doesn't untap your creatures. So you really want to play your lands in main phase 2 here. So keep that in mind. At number 8, I have Screwed Swarm, and oh boy, this little guy can multiply really fast. I've already played the card a bit in regular EDH with a few friends on Cockenrice, but yeah, it has performed, let's just say that. But maybe the setup time in a 1 versus 1 format is too slow, and that's why I'm keeping it at number 8. But keep an eye for that one in landfall decks, and that won't be the last card here in this list for landfall decks, right? At number 7, Turntemper Symbiosis. This is part of a mythic cycle, where the other card is a land that comes into play tapped unless you pay 3 life. And all of these cards are good inclusions. Some are better than others, but I think Turntemper Symbiosis is for me the best, because in a green deck, in your ramp hard, you usually spend resources in form of card advantage to ramp, and then you don't have anything to ramp into, and Turntemper Symbiosis is exactly that thing to ramp into, right? So that's pretty nice. And the possibility to come into play untapped is always welcome. At number 6, we have Kargan Intimidator, and this is a 2-mana 3/1 with a lot of text, and basically red aggro decks want this, because red aggro decks, their 2-drops haven't been that impressive. There is a 3-drop Goblin in the set that is looks really nice, but it is a 3-drop, and red is currently oversaturated on 3-drops, so Kargan Intimidators fitting into this 2-drop slot is really nice, especially because you can get value out of him even if you don't have a 3-drop in hand, but you have a land drop to make, because you can just sink mana into him. So that is also quite beneficial. Yeah, just just keep an eye out for that one, because it will increase the like good creature density in red aggro decks. Speaking of good creature density, at number 5 we have a very similar card in what it wants to do with Luminarch Aspirant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creatures you control. Right. The nice thing about this is that you get immediate value out of the card if you have a 1-drop. So this is especially valuable with, let's say, Isamaru, Hound of Konda as a commander, but that deck has other problems, right? But just in general, it's a 2-mana 2/2. And when it swings in the next turn, it's already 2-mana 3/3, and those are already above average stats, especially for white, right? So yeah, just stats basically, and you can't really deny the synergistic aspects of the potential +1/+1 Selesnya counters. We have a lot of really good cards for Selesnya +1/+1 counters in the format. We're just missing a good commander, and that's what's holding the deck back, really. It doesn't have a good commander because Ajani isn't really what the deck needs. At number 4, another white card, Archon of Emeria, and oh boy, this is a fun one, at least if you're playing it. And this is... yeah, I just like that card. It's stacksy, it is like decently aggressive. 3-mana 2/3 is on aggressive stats, but it has flying, so that's nice, right? And if you build your deck around that, it can be really backbreaking against certain decks. Like, some decks against Kinnan don't really like give a shit about this, right? But other decks like Kaikar just dies, and yeah, just like Kenrith also really hates this because all the lands they basically play come into play tapped. So yeah, really nice card. At number 3, we have a commander, Omnath, Locus of Creation, and I'm usually a bit, let's just say, hesitant to recommend commanders for crafting because that commits you to the deck. But I can already say this deck will be good, right? And yeah, there's nothing more to say. This card will be a good commander. This card is a good commander, and this card can absolutely go nutty. And having like your the main comparison is obviously Tetiova for landfall, but like the 3-color Omnath. But what this Omnath provides is insane, because the second ability is the one you really want to watch out for with the ramp, and having access to red. Usually it's not worth it to just go red for your commander for the 2/3 red landfall cards that have payoff, right? For example, the 5-mana Gruul spell sorcery that exiles top 5 and gives you an additional land drop. That one is insanely good in landfall decks. But currently it doesn't warrant like going Omnath over Tetiova. I think, at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but this card basically solves that problem, and at the very least ETB draw your card is good, right? So yeah, really watch out for that one. At number 2, more landfall. Who would have guessed? Lorus Cobra it is, and Lorus Cobra is a good card. What's more to say, right? And especially with the already mentioned Skewed Swarm and Omnath, and it is just insane. It is a really good card, and it is a reprint, so we already know that it is a really good card. Nothing more to say. Craft Lorus Cobra. And at number 1, to nobody's surprise, I have the Pathway cycle. We have currently 6 out of the 10 pathways. Those are lands that come into play untapped, and you can choose either, like, for example, green or white. Like, you can't switch it like after you've played them, but those are really good lands. Just good lands come into play untapped unconditionally and can tap for 2 colors basically. So yeah, there's nothing to complain about, and we will get the finished pathway cycle, the last 4 we were missing in the set, in Kaldheim, I believe that's what it's called. So yeah, when that sense comes around, when I will do a crafting guide on that one, you will see the pathway at number 1 again. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I could help you with your crafting session, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.